I live my life like a top fuel dragster. Always trying to go 350 mile an hour. But every once in a while, I will break and need rebuilt.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode is brought to you by R&R Pipeline, an infrastructure company. Our purpose? Enhancing America's infrastructure with a safety-driven, integrity-led culture that provides an environment for team members to grow and thrive. Don't press send. April 12th of 2018. I'll never forget this day as long as I live. I had a older gentleman that had been in the company that I was operations manager of at the time play a prank on one of the other workers at the company. And he actually forged the owner at the time signature on a piece of paper with a note in the truck that he was responsible for taking care of. This was a $500,000 truck, and the guy that was responsible for it came in on the weekends and went way above and beyond what was actually required of him to do. And this letter was telling, the said employee that, hey, you're not taking care of the truck the way you need to. You need to get your shit together. This isn't what we expect. And that kid, all 120 pounds soaking wet of him, came into my office, and me being twice his size, I quite literally thought he was going to try to kill me. Now, I'm out trying to get crews moving out in the morning. This is probably 5:15 in the morning. And I didn't know really how to handle that situation yet, but I had an email typed up to the owner at the time, and it was not pleasant of what I was getting ready to say. I got pulled out into the shop at that exact moment when I was getting ready to hit send. I had my finger on the mouse. I was getting ready to hit send. I walk out. I take care of some other things that were going on that needed immediate attention, and I needed to cool down a little bit. And as I did that, I realized that this certain older gentleman that played the prank kept grabbing me, and he grabbed me and finally pulled me aside and said, Jake, it was a joke. And at that time I realized, oh shit, I almost pressed send. I almost made a very, very big mistake because I was not thinking logically at the time. I was being irrational with what I was saying and wasn't letting all the facts come to me first. I handled that situation with that said person, and it would never happen again. To make it short and sweet, I realized at that moment that my actions could have been detrimental. Little did I know how detrimental they could have been. So I get everyone out in the morning. I do my morning paperwork, all my checks and balances that I had to do that day, and I had a doctor's appointment at Dr. Serrano's. So I go to Serrano's. First thing he asked me, did you buy that company yet? Typical, first question that he asked. And I said, no, I didn't. And he's like, why the hell not? I'm sick of you telling me that. And he was just riding my ass. And I'm like, man, I've had a day of it already. Like, my morning was hell. And so I'm sitting there talking to him. He's like, listen, I know investors that would be more than willing to invest into a down payment for you. Bring me a business plan, get your shit together, let me help you, and get this thing figured out. That was April 12th of 2018. This all happened within 3 or 4 hours. I call who is now my business partner, Cody, and I say, Cody, it's time right now. Gas pedal, no brakes or anywhere in sight. It is gas pedal. Let's meet Rick for lunch. Let's see what this company is worth. Let's tell him we're going to buy the company. And that's what we did. April 12th, 2018 was day one of that journey. We sat down with the previous owner for lunch, and we told him we wanted to buy R&R Pipeline. And there was some laughter, some confusion, some, okay, yeah, right, response. But he would give us an opportunity to purchase the company because of timing. Timing worked out in our favor. Fortunately for us, we ended up making it happen. Had I pressed send that day, though, that whole entire situation could have went very differently. I didn't. I took 1 second and stopped and went and assessed the other situation and did not press send. And by not pressing send at that moment, I ended up getting all the facts. And I only had about 10% of the facts before. Had I pressed send, that day could have been completely different. That journey could have been completely different. That opportunity may have never presented itself. I waited, thankfully, and was taught a very, very valuable lesson that day. sometimes what you want to do in the moment needs to just sit on the sideline for a second. Don't do something out of emotion in a business setting when you are not comfortable with all the detail of that situation. And this situation could have been detrimental to the purchase of the company. It could have made our relationship with that owner very, very, very bad, where we had a great relationship and was part of the reason for the buying of R&R Pipeline to go the way that it did. It could have went completely different had that day had a send button pressed. Don't press send unless you're 100% confident in what you're doing.